Okay, let's talk about the distributive property a little bit and how we're going to use this. We've done a little bit about talking what distributive property is at its basic level, where we take the outside of a parentheses and we multiply it by both that are inside. Okay, we haven't done it yet though with a lot of numbers and exponents and numbers. Now, if you go back to our exponent chapter, we talk about how to deal with exponents. So let's just talk real quick about what we would do with the distributive property. Okay, so in this first example, I have the 3x outside the 4x, so I'm going to multiply them together. 3 times 4 is 12. What's x times x? It's x squared. Whenever you have variables, all you do is you count up. So if you have x's, y's, whatever the letter is, you add up the letters, okay? And so I have 1x, so I have 2 x's. The outside numbers, the coefficients, the big numbers, those you just multiply. Whatever sign's in here, I'm just going to keep that sign. And now I'm going to go 3x times 3, which is 9x. And I'm done. And that's how we do the distributive property. Later, we're going to talk about factoring, which is really doing this backwards, going from here and getting to here. But right now, this is just called doing the distributive property. We multiply by both. So let's look at this other one. This one has a few more variables. So I'm going to go 2x squared times 3x squared. 2 times 3 is 6. How many x's do I have? I have 2 here, I have 2 here, I have x to the 4th. When you multiply variables, you add their exponents, okay? Now I have a minus sign in here, so I'm going to go with the minus sign right there. The big numbers, 2 times 6 is 12, and the x is 1, 2, 3, x to the 3rd. And that's essentially all the distributive property is. Now let's do a couple more that have some negatives. And then after that, we'll go on to some worksheets, okay? So let me erase the board. Hey, we have a new one that just popped up right here. So remember, you're trying to multiply the outside by everything on the inside. So since I have 3 in here, I'm going to multiply by all 3. Let's start with the first one. Always say the sign, because that's going to help you. A negative 2 times a positive 5. Negative times a positive is a negative. So it's a negative 10x cubed, or to the 3rd. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now, watch this. I have a negative 2 times a negative 3. And that's how you want to say it. A negative times a negative is a positive 6x squared. And then if I do the last one, I have a negative 2 times a positive 2, which would be a negative 4. And then I have no x there, but I have an x there, so I got to keep the x right there. And boom, there you go. Now these can get a little more tricky. We can use multiple letters, and you know what? Let's do it. Let's do one more that's just a little bit funkier. Ready? Here we go. All right, this one's a little messier, but it's the same concept. You're going to do the first by the first. Look at the big numbers, the coefficients. 3 times negative 2 is a negative 6. Now we just have to do the letters. I have 2 x's, I have 1 x, I have x to the 3rd, I have a y, I have 2 y's, so that's going to be a y to the 3rd. And that's doing the first. Let's do the second one. The big numbers, positive 3 times positive 3 is going to be a positive 9. X, I have 2 x's, I have 1 x, so I'm going to have x to the 3rd. I have a y, I don't have any y's, so he's just y. And I'm done, except for he has a z. There's no z's here, so I'm just going to put a z there. Okay, just make sure everybody in the question is involved in the answer. Now I'm going to do the last one over here. That's going to be a positive 3 times a negative 5, which is a negative 15. Okay, I have 2 x's here, x squared. And well, I don't have any x's there, so that's just going to be an x squared. Okay. So here I've got 1y, here I've got 1y, so that's going to be a y squared. And I don't have any z's, but I do have 2 z's there, z squared. Okay? So that would be, if you understand this, you're going to understand the rest. Take a look at the worksheet. I'm going to go through problems one by one, and if you didn't quite get it, I know you're going to get it there, so I'll see you in the worksheets.